The crash of thunder rattled the windows of Liam Zander's modest apartment, startling him awake just as his 5-year-old daughter Emma's frightened wail pierced the darkness. Liam bolted upright, his heart racing as he fumbled for the lamp switch, his calloused fingers a testament to the long hours he spent working construction to make ends meet. "Daddy," Emma cried from her small bedroom down the hall, "the monsters are coming with the storm." Liam's feet hit the cold floor as he hurried to his daughter, finding her tiny form huddled beneath her princess blanket, tears streaming down her freckled cheeks. "Hey there, little bug," he said gently, gathering her into his arms. "No monsters can get past me, remember. I'm the official monster fighter of apartment 3B. Emma's lower lip trembled as she nodded, her blonde pigtails bobbing against his chest. "But they're really loud tonight." "That's just the thunder having a conversation with the rain," Liam explained, smiling despite his exhaustion. Tomorrow was an early workday, and every hour of sleep mattered when you were struggling to provide as a single father. But Emma mattered more she always had, since the day his wife walked out 3 years ago, claiming parenthood wasn't what she'd signed up for. After 15 minutes of monster checking and reassurances, Emma finally drifted back to sleep, her tiny hand clutching his much larger one. Liam eased himself free and tiptoed back to his room, only to be startled by a frantic knocking at his apartment door. Frowning, he glanced at the clock. 2:17 a.m. No one came calling at this hour with good news. The knocking grew more insistent as he approached, peering through the peephole to see a woman he didn't recognize, her face pale and her eyes wide with fear. Keeping the chain lock engaged, Liam cracked open the door. "Can I help you, please?" she whispered, her voice shaking. "Someone's following me." "I'm sorry to bother you, but your light was the only one on in the building and She glanced over her shoulder at the dark hallway, genuine terror written across her features. Liam hesitated only briefly before making a decision. "Hold on," he said, closing the door to unlatch the chain before opening it wider. "Come in." The woman slipped inside, and Liam quickly shut and locked the door behind her. She was soaked from the rain, her dark coat dripping onto his worn welcome mat. In the dim light of his apartment, he could see she was around his age, maybe late 20s or early 30s, with rain-darkened hair that might be chestnut brown when dry. "Thank you," she breathed, wrapping her arms around herself. "I'm Natalie Wright." "Liam Zander," he replied, grabbing a clean towel from the hall closet and offering it to her. "Are you hurt? Should I call the police?" Natalie shook her head, dabbing at her face with the towel. "No, please don't. It's complicated. I just needed somewhere safe for a moment." Her eyes, a striking green, darted nervously toward his windows. "I'm sorry for imposing. I was walking to my car when I noticed someone following me, then my phone died and I panicked. In this neighborhood at this hour." Liam couldn't keep the skepticism from his voice. Their apartment complex was in the decidedly working-class part of town, far from anywhere someone like her would likely park a car. Despite her bedraggled appearance, there was something about her, perhaps the quality of her coat or the delicate watch on her wrist, that seemed out of place. "I was visiting a friend," she explained quickly, then looked down at her feet. "Actually, that's not true. I've been looking for someone, but I lost track of time and then the storm hit and—" She trailed off, her eyes filling with tears. "Hey, it's okay," Liam said, suddenly feeling bad for his suspicion. "Let me make you some tea. You can warm up and figure out your next move." "You're very kind," she said quietly, following him to the small kitchen. "Most people wouldn't let a stranger in, especially at this hour." Liam shrugged as he filled the kettle. "I have good instincts about people. Comes from raising a daughter on my own. You learn to read situations fast." "You have a child?" Natalie asked, her expression softening. "Emma, she's 5. The storm woke her up earlier, that's why my light was on." He gestured toward the living room. "Have a seat. The couch isn't much, but it's comfortable." Natalie settled onto the worn sofa, removing her wet coat to reveal a simple but elegant sweater underneath. As Liam prepared the tea, he couldn't help noticing how she took in every detail of his modest apartment: the mismatched furniture, the carefully mended curtains, the wall covered in Emma's artwork. But there was no judgment in her gaze, only a strange mix of curiosity and something that looked almost like longing. "So, what do you do, Liam?" she asked when he brought over 2 steaming mugs. "Construction, mostly," he answered, sitting in the armchair across from her. "I'm on a crew building the new Westridge Plaza downtown. Good work, steady pay." He didn't mention how the pay was barely enough to cover rent, childcare, and the mounting medical bills from Emma's asthma treatments. Natalie nodded, holding the mug between her palms as if savoring its warmth. "That must be rewarding, creating something that lasts." "Some days," Liam admitted with a tired smile. "Other days it's just backbreaking, but it lets me provide for Emma, and that's what matters." He took a sip of his tea, then asked, "What about you? What do you do when you're not getting caught in storms and knocking on strangers' doors?" A shadow crossed her face. "I work in finance, investment management." "Fancy," Liam said, trying to keep his tone light despite the growing certainty that this woman came from a world very different from his own. "So what really brings you to this neighborhood tonight?" Natalie stared into her mug for a long moment. "The truth is complicated and probably hard to believe. Try me. We've got time." Liam nodded toward the window where rain continued to lash against the glass. "That storm's not letting up anytime soon." She took a deep breath. "I've been trying to work up the courage to talk to someone who lives in this building. Someone I connected with briefly, under unusual circumstances, but I've been struggling with how to approach them without seeming strange or having my intentions misunderstood." Liam raised an eyebrow. "Secret admirer stuff, that's a little." "No, it's not like that," Natalie interrupted, looking genuinely distressed. "It's more, I'm not very good at genuine connections. My life is complicated. People usually want things from me, and I've learned to be cautious." Something about her vulnerability resonated with Liam. He knew what it was like to protect yourself, to be wary of others' intentions. After his ex-wife left, he'd built walls around himself and Emma, focusing solely on survival and stability. "I understand being careful," he said softly. "Trust doesn't come easy." Natalie's eyes met his, surprised and grateful. "No, it doesn't." A comfortable silence fell between them, broken only by the storm outside and the occasional creak of the building settling. There was something oddly peaceful about sitting with this mysterious stranger in the middle of the night, as if the regular rules of the world were temporarily suspended. "Your daughter's artwork is beautiful," Natalie eventually said, nodding toward the wall of colorful drawings. Liam smiled proudly. "Emma's quite the artist. Her teacher says she has a good eye for color. That's her over there." He pointed to a framed photo on the bookshelf, showing him and Emma at the park, both laughing as they fed ducks by the pond. "She looks happy," Natalie observed. "That's a testament to you." "I do my best," Liam said, feeling the familiar weight of responsibility. "It's not easy, especially without family nearby to help. Her mother's not in the picture and my parents live across the country." "You're doing it, though," Natalie said quietly. "That's what matters." Liam studied her carefully. "You speak like someone who knows what it's like to be on your own." Natalie's expression clouded. "I've been alone in crowded rooms my entire life." She set her mug down. "My parents were always busy building their company. I was raised mostly by nanas, sent to the best boarding schools, given everything except attention. By the time I was in college, they had built Wright Financial into one of the largest private investment firms in the country." Liam nearly choked on his tea. Wright Financial. As in the Wright Tower downtown, the gleaming skyscraper was a landmark in the city, a symbol of wealth and power. Natalie nodded reluctantly. "My father founded it. I took over as CEO 3 years ago when he retired." The revelation hung in the air between them. Liam struggled to reconcile the frightened woman who had knocked on his door with the powerful executive who occupied the penthouse office of the city's most prestigious financial institution. "That's not what I expected," he finally managed. A sad smile touched her lips. "It rarely is. People see the name, the position, the money, they never see me." "So who was following you tonight?" Liam asked, his protective instincts kicking in despite his shock at her identity. "Corporate espionage, kidnapping, threat." "Nothing so dramatic," Natalie said, looking embarrassed. "I honestly might have overreacted. There was a man who kept pace with me for several blocks, When I changed direction, he did too. It's probably nothing, but you've been taught to be cautious, Liam finished for her. Makes sense, better safe than sorry. Exactly. She glanced toward the window again. The rain's letting up. I should probably call my driver and get out of your hair. Your phone's dead, remember? Liam pointed out. You can use mine, but there's no rush. Emma won't be up for hours, and I don't mind the company. The words surprised him as much as they seemed to surprise her. When was the last time he'd actually wanted someone else's presence, especially a stranger's? Natalie hesitated, then settled back into the couch. If you're sure you don't mind. I'm sure, Liam said, surprising himself with how much he meant it. More tea. As the night progressed, their conversation flowed more easily. Natalie told him about the pressures of taking over her father's company, the constant scrutiny, the board members who still didn't fully respect her, despite her Harvard MBA and proven track record. Liam shared stories of Emma's antics, the challenges of finding affordable childcare, and his dreams of someday starting his own small construction company. I want to build homes, not just office buildings for people like you, he said with a self-deprecating laugh. No offense. None taken, Natalie replied warmly. That's a wonderful goal. What's stopping you? Liam gestured vaguely around the apartment. Reality, money, single parenthood, take your pick. You know, Wright Financial has a small business grant program, Natalie said thoughtfully. It's competitive, but with your experience. Liam shook his head firmly. I appreciate the thought, but I'm not looking for charity. It's not charity, Natalie countered. It's investment in promising entrepreneurs. The applications are blind reviewed, they wouldn't even know you know me. Before Liam could respond, a small voice called from the hallway. Daddy, who are you talking to? Both adults turned to see Emma standing in the doorway, rubbing her eyes sleepily, her favorite stuffed rabbit dangling from one hand. Hey, little bug, Liam said gently. This is Miss Natalie. She got caught in the storm and needed a place to wait it out. Emma regarded the visitor solemnly, then approached with the careful deliberation of a child assessing a new situation. Did the thunder scare you too? It's okay if it did. Daddy says even grown-ups get scared sometimes. Natalie's face softened as she leaned forward. It was a little scary, she admitted. Your dad was very kind to let me in. Emma nodded as if this was the most natural thing in the world. Daddy helps everybody, that's his superpower. She climbed onto the couch next to Natalie, apparently having decided the stranger was acceptable company. Do you like rabbits? This is Mr. Hoppy. I love rabbits, Natalie said seriously, shaking the stuffed animal's paw. It's very nice to meet you, Mr. Hoppy. Liam watched the interaction with a strange tightness in his chest. Emma was usually shy around new people, yet here she was, already showing Natalie her prized possession. And Natalie wasn't just humoring her, she was engaged, asking questions about Mr. Hoppy's adventures and listening intently to Emma's elaborate responses. All right, little bug, Liam finally interrupted when he noticed Emma yawning. Back to bed for you, you've got school tomorrow, can miss. Natalie, read me a story, Emma asked hopefully. Liam started to refuse, not wanting to impose further on their unexpected guest, but Natalie was already nodding. I'd be honored, she said, looking to Liam for permission. If that's okay with your dad. One short story, Liam conceded, unable to resist the matching hopeful expressions on both females' faces. Then straight to sleep. He followed them to Emma's room, leaning against the doorframe as Natalie sat on the edge of the bed, and began reading Goodnight Moon with impressive dramatic flair. Emma's eyes grew heavier with each page, and by the final good night, she was sound asleep. Mr. Hoppy clutched tightly against her chest. Natalie carefully set the book aside and tiptoed out of the room, following Liam back to the living area. You're good with her, Liam observed, genuinely impressed. Most people don't know how to talk to kids. I like children, Natalie said simply. They see the world as it is, not as they want it to be. No hidden agendas, no power plays. She glanced back toward Emma's room. She's wonderful, Liam. You're raising an amazing person. I'm trying, he said, feeling that familiar mix of pride and terror that parenting always evoked. Every day is a new challenge. Natalie looked at him thoughtfully. You know, I've spent my whole life surrounded by people who would step over a dying man if it meant increasing their quarterly profits. Yet here you are, a complete stranger, opening your door to someone in need in the middle of the night, despite having every reason to be suspicious." Liam shrugged, uncomfortable with the praise. "It's just basic human decency." "It's more than that," Natalie insisted. "It's integrity, character." She paused, then added quietly, "It's rare." The air between them seemed to shift, charged with something Liam couldn't quite name. Natalie was looking at him with an intensity that made his heart beat faster, and he suddenly became acutely aware of how long it had been since he'd connected with another adult on anything beyond a superficial level. The moment was broken by Natalie's glance at her watch. "It's almost 5, she said, sounding surprised. "We've been talking all night." "Time flies," Liam said, equally startled by how quickly the hours had passed. "Storm's over too." Indeed, the rain had stopped, and the first hints of dawn were lightening the sky outside the windows. Natalie stood, gathering her now dry coat. "I should go," she said reluctantly. "You need rest before work, and I have an 8 a.m. board meeting." "Let me call you a cab," Liam offered, reaching for his phone. "I can use my phone now. I have a portable charger in my coat," Natalie said. "But thank you." She hesitated, then added, "Liam, I've really enjoyed talking with you tonight. I can't remember the last time I had such an honest conversation." "Me too," Liam admitted, surprised by how much he meant it. "It's been nice. Would it be completely inappropriate if I asked to see you again?" Natalie asked, a vulnerability in her voice that belied her powerful position. "Maybe for coffee or dinner. I understand completely if you'd rather not mix with someone from my world, but I'd like that," Liam interrupted, finding himself smiling. "Though I should warn you, I come as a package deal with a very opinionated 5-year-old. "I wouldn't have it any other way," Natalie said, her smile brightening her entire face. She pulled a business card from her coat pocket and wrote something on the back. "My personal number. Not my assistant, not my office, just me." Their fingers brushed as he took the card, and Liam felt a jolt of something he hadn't experienced in years possibility. After Natalie left, Liam stood at his window watching as a sleek black car pulled up to the curb below. She turned once to look up at his window and waved, a small, private gesture that made him feel both exhilarated and terrified. What was he thinking? She was Natalie Wright, CEO of one of the city's most powerful financial institutions. He was a construction worker living paycheck to paycheck in a run-down apartment. These weren't just different worlds, they were different universes. Yet as he finally crawled into bed for the hour of sleep he could get before his alarm, Liam couldn't stop thinking about the way she had listened so intently to Emma's stories, or how her eyes had lit up when he'd talked about his dreams of building homes. 2 days later, Liam was on his lunch break at the construction site when his phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "Thinking about last night and wondering if you and Emma might like to visit the Children's Museum this weekend. They have a new exhibit on building and architecture that she might enjoy. No pressure." Natalie. Liam stared at his phone, torn between excitement and apprehension. Before he could overthink it, he typed back, "Emma would love that, so would I." Saturday arrived with perfect fall weather, crisp and sunny. Liam felt uncharacteristically nervous as he helped Emma get ready, checking and rechecking that her hair was neat and her face clean of the jelly from breakfast. "Are we going on a date, Daddy?" Emma asked innocently as they waited outside their apartment building. Liam nearly choked. "What? No, Bug. We're just going to the museum with a friend, Miss. Kelly says when grown-ups do special things together it's called a date," Emma continued, referring to her kindergarten teacher with the authority children reserved for such important figures. "And you put on your special blue shirt. You only wear that for important things." Before Liam could formulate a response that wouldn't further complicate matters, a car pulled up, not the sleek Blacktown car he'd expected, but a modest silver sedan. Natalie emerged from the driver's side, dressed casually in jeans and a light sweater, her hair pulled back in a simple ponytail. "Hi," she said, a touch of nervousness in her smile. "I hope this is okay. I thought it might be less conspicuous than arriving with a driver." "It's perfect," Liam assured her, oddly touched by her consideration. "Miss Natalie, Emma exclaimed, bouncing on her toes. Did you bring Mr. Hoppy too? I left him at home because Daddy says museum trips are for learning, not for stuffed animals. Natalie crouched down to Emma's level. I think Mr. Hoppy would be very proud of you for being such a good museum visitor. Maybe next time we can do something that he would enjoy too. Next time, Emma repeated happily, accepting this promise of future adventures without question. The museum was crowded with weekend visitors, but Emma's enthusiasm was undampened as she pulled them from exhibit to exhibit. Liam found himself relaxing as the day progressed, surprised by how naturally the three of them fell into a comfortable rhythm. In the building exhibition, Emma was captivated by the miniature construction site where children could operate simplified versions of cranes and bulldozers. Liam helped her don a yellow hard hat that matched his real one, pride swelling in his chest as she carefully followed the instructions to move blocks from one area to another. She's a natural, Natalie observed, standing beside him. Like father, like daughter. Maybe she'll take over my business someday, Liam joked, then grew more serious. If I ever manage to start one, that is. Natalie regarded him thoughtfully. You know, I meant what I said about our grant program. The deadline for applications is next month. I don't even have a business plan, Liam admitted. Just a vague idea and a lot of experience with the physical work. Ideas are where everything starts, Natalie said. The rest can be learned. As they watched Emma constructing an increasingly precarious tower, Natalie added quietly, You shouldn't dismiss opportunities just because they seem out of reach. Trust me on that. Something in her tone made Liam look at her more closely, speaking from experience. Let's just say I've spent too many years letting fear of failure keep me from pursuing things that matter, she said, her eyes still on Emma. Things that aren't related to balance sheets or quarterly reports. Before Liam could press further, Emma called them over to admire her completed structure, effectively ending the moment. But throughout the afternoon, he caught Natalie looking at him with an expression that made his heart race, a mixture of admiration and something deeper that he was afraid to name. After the museum, they stopped for ice cream, Emma chattering excitedly about everything she had learned. When she ran to examine a nearby fountain, momentarily distracted by the dancing water, Natalie turned to Liam. Thank you for today, she said softly. This is the most normal I've felt in years. Normal looks good on you, Liam replied, then felt his face heat up at how that sounded. I mean, I know what you mean, Natalie said, her smile reaching her eyes. And I appreciate it more than you know. Over the following weeks, a routine developed. Natalie would join them for simple outings: the park, the library, a community fair. Each time, she arrived in her own car, dressed casually, seemingly determined to blend in with Liam's world rather than pull him into hers. Liam found himself looking forward to these moments, storing up things to tell her throughout the week, enjoying her sharp insights and genuine interest in his life. Emma, too, had fully embraced Natalie's presence, often asking when they would see her again. One evening, after Emma had been put to bed following a day at the zoo, Liam and Natalie sat on his small balcony, sharing a bottle of wine she had brought. I've been wondering something, Liam said, turning his glass slowly in his hands. That night we met, you said you came to this building looking for someone. Who was it? Natalie looked away, studying the city lights. It doesn't matter anymore. I think it does, Liam pressed gently. You seemed pretty determined. She was quiet for so long that he thought she might not answer. When she finally spoke, her voice was barely audible. It was you, Liam. The admission hung in the air between them as Liam struggled to process her words. Me, but how, why? We'd never met before. Natalie took a deep breath. Do you remember about a month before that night when there was that charity fundraiser at the Westridge Plaza construction site? My company was a major donor, and I was there to present the check. Liam nodded slowly, vaguely. I was working that day. We had to secure the site for the event, but I was mostly keeping to the background. A memory surfaced. There was some kind of accident. A lighting rig almost fell on someone. On me, Natalie clarified, her eyes meeting his. And you were the one who shouted the warning and pulled me out of the way. You probably don't even remember, it happened so fast, and you disappeared into the crowd afterward. But I remember. You saved me from serious injury, maybe worse, and then just went back to work like it was nothing. I was just in the right place at the right time, Liam said, uncomfortable with the praise. Anyone would have done the same. But they didn't. You did, Natalie insisted. I tried to find you afterward to thank you properly, but by the time I got through all the fussing people, you were gone. All I had was a first name from someone who thought you worked for the construction company and a vague description. So you tracked me down to say thank you, Liam asked, still confused. That seems like a lot of effort. Natalie looked down at her hands. It wasn't just that. There was something about you, the way you acted so quickly, with no thought of recognition or reward. How gentle you were when you made sure I was okay, then immediately stepped back when the event staff arrived. It was integrity in action. It made an impression. She looked up at him, vulnerability clear in her expression. I wanted to know if you were real or if I had just built up this ideal in my mind. And, Liam asked, his heart pounding, what's the verdict? You're very real, Liam Zander, she said softly. More real than anyone I've ever known. The air between them charged with possibility as they looked at each other. Slowly, giving her every opportunity to pull away, Liam leaned forward. When their lips met, it felt like coming home to a place he'd never been before, unfamiliar yet utterly right. The kiss deepened, and Liam felt years of loneliness and doubt melting away under the certainty of her touch. When they finally separated, both slightly breathless, he rested his forehead against hers. This is crazy, he whispered. You know that, right? We come from completely different worlds. Maybe, Natalie agreed, her fingers gently tracing the line of his jaw. Or maybe we've both been living in the wrong worlds all along. As autumn turned to winter, their relationship deepened. Natalie became a regular presence in their lives, bringing warmth and laughter to their small apartment. She taught Emma to make paper snowflakes and helped Liam navigate the complexities of writing a business plan for his construction company Dream. There were challenges, of course. The first time a tabloid published photos of Wright Financial CEO slumming with construction worker, Liam felt the full weight of their differences. But Natalie dismissed the gossip with surprising ease. Let them talk, she said firmly. They've been inventing stories about me since I was born. What matters is us, what we're building together. And they were building something beautiful. Liam saw it in the way Emma ran to Natalie with school art projects, in the quiet evenings spent planning for the future, in the growing collection of Natalie's things that had found homes in his apartment, a toothbrush, a favorite mug, books on his shelves. On Christmas Eve, after Emma had finally fallen asleep amid much excitement about Santa's impending arrival, Liam and Natalie sat before his small tree, the colored lights casting a warm glow over the living room. I have something for you, Natalie said, handing him an envelope. I wanted to give it to you privately, before tomorrow's excitement. Curious, Liam opened it to find official-looking papers. As he read, his eyes widened. Natalie, this is notification that Zander Home Construction has been awarded a startup grant from Wright Financial. But I never applied. You didn't have to, she said. Your business plan was submitted anonymously to the selection committee. They loved it, especially your focus on affordable, sustainable family housing. She squeezed his hand. This isn't charity, Liam. It's recognition of a solid business idea from a qualified builder. The committee doesn't even know about us. Liam stared at the papers, emotions washing over him in waves. I don't know what to say. Say you'll accept, Natalie urged. Say you'll build those homes you've been dreaming about. Liam set the papers aside and took both her hands in his. Thank you, not just for this, but for believing in me when I'd almost stopped believing in myself. You did the same for me, Natalie said softly. You showed me a world beyond balance sheets and boardrooms. You reminded me what matters. Liam took a deep breath, gathering his courage. I have something for you too. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small, worn velvet box. It was my grandmother's, he explained, opening it to reveal a modest but beautiful diamond ring. I know it's not what you're probably used to, it's perfect, Natalie whispered, tears filling her eyes. I love you, Natalie, Liam said, his voice steady despite his racing heart. I love the way you listen to Emma's endless stories. I love how you dive into everything with your whole heart. I love that you really see me not just what I can do or what I don't have. He held up the ring. If you can imagine a future with a construction worker and his daughter, I'd be honored to spend my life loving you. Yes, Natalie said without hesitation, tears spilling onto her cheeks. Yes to all of it. As he slipped the ring onto her finger, Liam marveled at the journey that had brought them here. From a stormy night and a frightened knock to this moment of perfect clarity, it felt both miraculous and inevitable. Christmas morning dawned bright and clear, with Emma's excited shrieks waking them early. As they watched her unwrap gifts, Natalie's hand found Liam's, their fingers intertwining naturally. "When can I tell her?" Liam murmured. "Now," Natalie suggested, her eyes bright with happiness. "Let's start our family Christmas with the whole truth." Emma looked up from her new art set, curiosity piqued by their whispered conversation. "What are you talking about?" Liam beckoned her over, pulling her onto his lap as Natalie sat close beside them. "We have some exciting news, little bug. Natalie and I love each other very much, and last night I asked her to marry me." "Like a princess story?" Emma asked, her eyes wide. "Even better," Natalie said, showing Emma the ring. "Because this is real, if it's okay with you, I'd like to become part of your family." Emma's face lit up with joy. "Does that mean you'll live with us forever and ever?" "That's exactly what it means," Natalie confirmed. Although, she glanced at Liam with a question in her eyes, he nodded, understanding her unspoken thought. "We might need to find a bigger place, Bug. Somewhere with a yard for you to play in, and maybe even a room for a brother or sister someday." Emma's squeal of delight was all the approval they needed. As she threw her arms around both of them, Liam met Natalie's gaze over their daughter's head. "Thank you for being scared that night," he said softly, "and for knocking on my door." "Best decision I ever made," Natalie replied, her smile radiant with the promise of their future together. "I found my way home." In that moment, surrounded by the people he loved most in the world, Liam knew with absolute certainty that some storms brought not destruction, but the most unexpected blessings if only you were brave enough to open the door.